Hi everyone, welcome to Watercolors with Jaylene, and today's video is going to be about some paints that I just recently purchased. I used them, fell in love, and so I decided I should make a video and share them with all of my followers. If you haven't already liked and subscribed to my YouTube channel, if you could go ahead and do that now, I would greatly appreciate it. So this is a little painting of some flowers that I did with these paints. And I'm going to set that aside. And the paints, they're Mozart. They're 6 classic metallics. So let's open this up. I just want to show these to you. I absolutely love them. Now I did go through and I made a little swatch of each one of the colors on here just so I could see what it would look like on the watercolor paper. And they are absolutely beautiful. Now to get started, I'll go over the supplies list real quick. I do have my metallic paints, and I also have, this is a 6x6 piece of watercolor paper. It started out as an 8x6 and I cut it down to a square just for the sake of this video, to not make it quite so long. And I have clean water for my brush. I have my number 8 round brush, and then I also have a piece of paper towel to blot my brush on. So this is so easy. And to get started here, I just want to see if I can maybe get a better picture of this for you to see just how beautiful these shimmery paints are. They are absolutely gorgeous. And for the flowers, I did use just these straight, and I did flowers in each one of the different colors. And then for the green, I actually mixed a little bit of the gold with some regular green paint, and it came out nice and shimmery as well. So to get started on this, let's grab the piece of watercolor paper. All right, and I have my paints here. So I'm going to start with the coppery one. And I just kind of, you'll see, I just kind of wet the paint, you know, the cake of paint. And I don't want my brush to be super saturated with water. But I have plenty of paint on the brush, and I'm doing this on dry paper. So the flowers that I did, they're very simple. They're pretty much just a triangle. Okay, and I do want to be sure that I paint 6 triangles. And for some of the petals, you know, the paint can be thicker, just to give it a little bit of character. We don't want them all the same thickness. So I'm going to go throughout the paper and just paint in a bunch of the flowers with this copper color. And you can see that it's getting a little bit lighter, and that's okay. And then the triangles themselves, of course, they don't have to be perfect. We don't want them to be perfect. Then we can just go around and add, I think I got a little piece of hair on there. All right, so we're just going to fill up the paper basically with a bunch of these little flowers. All of them painted the same way. These paints are absolutely gorgeous in real life. They are so shimmery, and they're very easy to work with. They really distribute the paint, the color, and the shimmer distributes very nicely. They're a great quality paint. And of course, I found these on Amazon, and there will be a link for these down in the description box of this video if you want to go out and purchase them. I highly recommend it. This is really the first time I've ever used a shimmery paint, watercolor paint, to make a project, and I'm going to be using these a lot more, I can tell you that. And I did try mixing them with a blue color, and I'll show you that towards the end of the video. It did come out very nice. However, it changed the color of the blue that I was using, which isn't the end of the world because I just painted one little flower. So for it to be not the color that I was expecting, that's quite all right. It still turned out very nice. And then, and these flowers, you can make some smaller than others. You don't have to be real particular about the size or where they go. I would say just to kind of keep them consistent, to make sure that you're doing a triangle for the petal and 5 petals per flower. And you'll see, you know, at the end that consistency really adds to the look of the project, but you don't want everything perfect, if that makes any sense. I think I'll do one more of this. Kind of went a little overboard with these. I probably didn't need quite as many of the real coppery ones. That's okay. We'll just fill them in and see how much we fill up of the paper. Okay, so that was this darker copper, and now I'm going to use this lighter copper and put some of the flowers throughout. And there again, I'm just putting some water into the cake to loosen that up and bring the paint alive. Okay, so you can see this one looks very similar, so we might not do quite as many of these. You can see I'm kind of sloppy with the way I make my triangles. That's okay. In fact, I think I will skip over that one just because it is very similar when it comes out on the paper. So at this point, I'll go to this real goldish, copperish color. Kind of wet that down a little bit. All right, and then we'll put one here. Yeah, now this, I hope it shows up as well on the video as it does in real life. The tone of this color is much different. It's absolutely gorgeous. I just love it. I'm going to turn this a little bit and work on this area. And we don't want too much paint on the, or too much water on the brush. We want paint on the brush, not water. And then as you're doing the 5 petals, make sure that you are leaving a little bit of distance in between each one of the petals. We want that to be very distinct, as well as the circle in the middle, or the middle of the flower, because we will be filling that in with the gold. That's the only time we'll use the gold, is in the middle of each one of the flowers. And it just really makes it pop nice. You can get these pretty close together, you know, the flowers. Leave a little bit of distance because we will also be filling in some leaves throughout. We want a good amount of the leaves in here also. It adds, you know, a lot of color, and it's just really cool. And then at the end of this, what I'm going to do is take my Fisker paper cutter, and I'm going to cut these into strips, 2-inch strips, and make them into bookmarks. So this one, because it is a 6x6, that'll make 3 2-inch bookmarks. That's how I measure them, 2 inches for the bookmark. So I'll end up with 3 little bookmarks, and with those 3 bookmarks, my Patreons on the top level that receive a package from me every month with custom cards, original cards, painted greeting cards, they're going to get a little extra gift this month, and it's going to be a bookmark. I think a lot of my patrons do read, because I've had requests for bookmarks in the past. And the nice thing about these, they don't take long to paint. If you lose them, or, you know, you spill something on them or they get ruined, you don't feel bad. You can throw it away. I mean, it's just a little bookmark, right? Right. Okay. So there's that shade. Now I'm going to go to this bright gold shade, and we'll put some of these in. And you can see how quickly this does fill up, you know, and if you make them a little smaller, then it obviously is going to take a few more flowers and a little more time. So you can do whatever you want. Even with these shimmer paints, honestly, you could do flowers. You could even do like circles, or any kind of an abstract would be very cool. They are just so beautiful, and they're so nice to work with, the paints. They're easy. And because I did try some type of a shimmery paint a long time ago, and it was such a hassle to work with that I used it once and decided it wasn't my gig. So I'm really happy that I found these. Now I do want to, like this one, I'm going to do towards the edge of the paper and just kind of take it off the edge. You know, let the flower just kind of run right off the edge. And I'll even be doing that with some of the greenery when I get started on that as well. Oh my gosh, these are so pretty. And so just at this point, I don't know. I hope that you can see that good on the video. They just shimmer. And even as the paints dry, because a lot of times with watercolor paints, as they dry, the color does get lighter. But with these, it doesn't. It really keeps its color nice. Okay, so we're kind of getting to the point where this is almost full. I do want to put a few silver in here. So I've used, this one I didn't use so much of, but I did use this color, this, and now I'm going to skip over to the silver. This light gold is what we will be saving for the middle of all of the flowers. So with the silver, let me flip that around. There again, I'm going to get the paint cake pretty wet because we want that color and that metallic to loosen up and load up onto the brush. Okay. So you can see this beautiful silver. I am going to see if I can't get a couple more videos out in the near future with you know, some other kind of design or ideas that we can use with these metallics, because they're so much fun to work with. This is just a quick, easy thing that I wanted to get out there so that you could all see it and get as excited about it as I am. Hopefully you do. All right, so here we go. We'll put a few more of these in. And the really cool thing is the different shades and tones, you know, as you get a little less paint on here. You know, flower petals out in the real world, they do have different hues and tones to them. And that's kind of the same effect that we get with these, you know, the lights and the darks of the tones. So it's just a lot of fun. I want to fill a couple more in, and then I'll get started on the leaves so I can show you how to mix it with the shimmer paints and then the regular paint colors. I don't know if I would actually mix this with, try and do a whole thing mixing this with regular paints, only because it does change the tone quite a bit of the color that you're starting out with. And depending, I guess, on the subject that you're painting, it could cause problems, or could end up being a disappointment in the end, or it could turn out amazing, like I said, depending on what the subject is. So actually, I think I need to put in just a couple more, and I'm going to skip back to think I'll skip back to this gold color right here. I do want it to be just a little more full. I'm going to put in a couple of, let's get some of the water off this brush. I'm going to put in a couple smaller ones. Because then once we get the leaves in here, you know, we want it to be nice and full. And it's important to have it nice and full because we will be cutting it into 2-inch pieces. So if there's too much of a gap anywhere, it's really going to show at that point. That's why you do want the paper to be quite full, whether it's the flowers or the leaves. You know, you don't want a whole lot of blank area. I think over here, I'll do one more kind of off the page. Oh my gosh, these are so pretty. I can't stand it. All right, let's squeeze another one in there. And see, I just keep going and going and going. I'm having fun with these. Okay, this will be my last flower. Then we'll get started on the leaves. You can see I left a lot of space in between each one of the petals on all of these. And actually, before we move on to the leaves, I'm going to take the bright yellow here, and I got my brush pretty well loaded up. And then for the middles of the flowers, just a few dabs in each one. And there again, it doesn't have to be perfect, just so that there's a little bit of color in the middle of each one of the flowers. And I hope you can see this. All right. And so what are the chances that I'll get all done with this and notice that I missed the center? It happened on my last painting. And I just kind of left it that way. It's like, don't sweat the small stuff, right? So you can see I'm just kind of dabbing, not being real picky about any of it. All right, so, oops, see, there I missed one. Okay, all right, so there we go. Okay, so we have the flowers all painted in, all the petals, the centers, and now what I want to do is with my, and this is one of the things I forgot to mention when I was going over the materials list, is this is my Winsor & Newton. It's a small 24 cake set that I use a lot. So with this, it's become my favorite actually. And I do have my big pan with all of my other colors on it, and I have another smaller one. So I have several different paint trays with color palettes, and for whatever reason I keep using this one. I just love it. So for the leaves, what I'm going to do is grab some of my emerald green, which is kind of a brighter green, and with that I'm going to put a bunch over here, and you'll see when I go to mix this what it does. And actually I can kind of take this out of here so that you can see better what I'm doing. So I'm just loading up some green in there. Rinse my brush. I want to get all that green off my brush. So now I'm going to take the light yellow color and load that up with a bunch of the shimmery gold. You can see how that just shimmers. It is beautiful. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay, so I take that and then mix it in with my emerald green, and you can see how it turned a different tone of green, kind of a yellowish from the gold shimmer, and that's okay. So now I'm just going to go around and dab in some leaves, and when I'm doing that, I push down hard, and then as I pull away, you know, I just raise it up. And for these, you can see on this finished one, I didn't spend a lot of time shaping the leaves. You know, they're just kind of a push down, pull out, push down, and you want to do like two to three together. You can do some fairly large, you know, different sizes. They don't all have to look the same. And this is the fun part. We go around and fill things in. So I don't know if you're thinking, okay, this is really cool, but let me tell you, in real life, it's really cool. It's absolutely adorable. So we can just fill in some of these areas with leaves. And if you want to use a different shade of green, you know, that could be nice. Something maybe a little, not quite as you know, whimsical, I guess is a good word to use. This is pretty bright. It's actually a fun color. All right, so let me turn this and work on these over here. You can see how easy this is. I mean, it's almost mindless. It's so fun. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to come up with another project to use these shimmery paints. When I do, I'll definitely get it out to all of you so that you can see it. If you have any ideas of what I should maybe think about painting with these, drop it into the comment box below and I'll see what I can do. See if I can get a video out of something that you'd like to see. Alright, so gotta mix up some more paint here, so give me just a moment. Alright, and I'm going to use my gold shimmer and kind of mix that together. And I know you can't really see what I'm doing, but I'm just mixing up some more green. And if it's a little lighter or darker than the first mix batch that I did, that's fine. To have different shades and tones is perfectly fine. In fact, I might put a little more green in there and see if I can get something a little darker. And then when you're doing the leaves, you don't really want to have a whole lot of extra water on your brush because it will make it almost too light, and you do want it to be kind of dark, the leaves and the greenery. I keep calling them leaves, but really it's just greenery. I don't know that they're leaves, right? And see how it fills in really nice. So then in this area, we're missing a little bit. Okay, how cool is this, right? Okay, so let's take a quick peek and see what areas we need to fill in a little bit. Maybe right in through here. Because keep in mind, you do want this to be pretty full, and I'll show you this one. Because once we start cutting it, then we don't want a whole lot of extra, just dead space, right? Now this green, I dabbed into the green, so there's not as much of the shimmer on it. And you can kind of see that it's a little bit of a different shade, a little bit darker almost. Okay. Well, this is looking pretty good, I think. Let's put a couple more down here just to fill it in. When it comes to the, you know, the filler, the greenery, I don't think you can ever have too much. All right, you can see as I keep going, I get a little more sloppy each time, and that's all right. Okay, so I am going to stop at this point, almost. Let me do a couple more here. See, it's addictive. Okay, so we're good. So we're going to give this just a minute to dry. And while that's drying, which it won't take that long, I do want to kind of show you real quick. This is the blue that I was talking about. And I think you can see a little bit of the shimmer. It's not as defined as it is when you're using just the solid shimmer. You know, I actually mixed, let's see, what did I mix? The cerulean blue with a little bit of the silver. And this is what I came up with. So it worked out very nice, and this is going to be a bookmark just like that. Okay, so this is pretty much dry. Now what I'm going to do is take my Micron, this is an 03 nib, and with this I am just going to, I'll show you in here, you can see how I kind of went around, and not all the way around, but just kind of touched around these centers to give them a little bit of definition. So that's what I'm going to do next. Let me move these paints out of the way in the water. Okay, so with this, let's just take my marker, and I just kind of go, you know, real quick, and not the same direction on all of them, and just do a little swipe part way around, not all the way. As I said, just to give it a little bit of definition. And it really does make them pop. This is so cute. I love it. Okay, now let's kind of check and make sure I didn't miss any of the flowers or any of the middles. Nope, I got all of them. So this pretty much is completed. The painting itself is completed. And then, as I had mentioned, I do like to use my Fiskars paper cutter. So I will show you exactly what I'm doing with this. And I hope it all gets into the screen of the video. So with this, I just line it up on the number 2. And this is the cutting slot. So if I line this up on number 2, and just, there's one, move this over, line it up with the number 2. All right, and there we go. Just that quick. I now have 3 bookmarks with my absolutely beautiful shimmering flowers. And while I'm doing it, I might as well go ahead and cut these as well and get them cut. I had painted this just for the beginning of this video. So now that I've gotten this all done, let's go through and cut these into bookmarks. And for all you Patreon members that are watching this, this is what you're going to be getting in July along with your cards. Whoops. So I want feedback. I want positive feedback is what I want. Okay, so again, I just want to recap these paints because they are so wonderful. I'm going to put my little plastic coat shield on there. And I did, this is, let's see. This is how I went through and did my little swatch of each one of the colors. And I keep that right in here so that I always have it. And so these are Mozart. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, to be quite honest with you. And it's 6 classic metallics. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, down in the description box, there will be a link that you can go to Amazon if you want to purchase these. I'm also going to put a link in for my Winsor & Newton paint set because I love this. I use it all the time. So I'll have that down there if you're interested in that. And then I will put also, you know, a couple extra links for the products that I used today. And if it's easy for you to, you know, go on and just click on those and purchase them. There's also a little disclaimer that for any purchases through my links, I do make a small commission. However, it does not affect the cost that you pay up front. So this is it for today. And again, if you have not already liked and subscribed my page, if you could do that now, I would really appreciate it. If you want any downloads or traceables or other fun things that I have, go on over to my Patreon page, and that is a monthly membership. And I think the lowest one is $2, and then there's a $6 one, and then also the top tier. So you could check that out as well. And until next time, happy painting and ciao.